What's going on, fight fans? It's your host Sebastian, and welcome back to the Boxing Tip. Now, on the James DeGale and Baru Jack card, we have a lot of good fights. We have three in particular that I'm actually really excited about. Obviously, there's the main event, Jack DeGale, and then we got Pedraza versus Davis, which is another fight that many people know that I'm very excited about. But when it comes to talking about action, you know what I'm saying? And not just action, competitiveness in its entirety, but action. Two guys who are going to most likely go in there and really duke it out is this fight. And, excuse me for probably butchering their names, but the matchup is between Ievgen Khytrov versus Immanuwel Aleem. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about each fighter individually, but let me say something that I could really just kind of give you an idea of how this fight will probably turn out to be. Something that both fighters share, a similarity that both fighters share. First off, both guys are tremendous infighters. And when I'm talking about infighters, I'm not talking about like the gap is completely closed. There's a lot of wrestling around and holding and hitting. No. Definitely not what I'm talking about. When I say infighting, I'm talking at close range, toe-to-toe, combination punches, slipping shots, blocking shots, throwing punches, slipping shots, blocking shots, throwing punches, and in all terms and in all senses, the sweet science is hitting and not get hit. All right, we can all agree to that, right? But two fighters who are exceptionally, and this is the thing, when I look for a supreme boxer, I look for a guy, an infighter, who can fight on the inside, hit, and still not get hit, even at close range. You know what I'm saying? But with proper technique, and I think that's something that both guys show in any of their fights. And not to mention that, yeah, they might be infighters, but believe me when I say this, both guys don't have to fight on the inside. They can fight at a range if they want to. All right, I'm a fan of both of these guys. I've been watching them for some time now. If you guys ever watch like Showbox, or if you guys ever heard of Sergey Devryanchenko or have watched Showbox, then you should have watched Khytrov before. All right, Immanuwel Aleem, he's fought on PBC as well. So I'm sure some of you guys out there have seen him fight. He's had some very exciting fights. So the dude is definitely a pleasure to watch. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about each fighter individually and just kind of give you an idea of things that they bring into the ring, qualities about them, and things that they do very well. Now, we'll start with Khytrov. Now, a lot of people who see me in the comment sections when we get into the topics of like Vasyl Lomachenko or Alexander Usyk or even Alexander Gvozdyk. Now, most people who paid attention to the Olympics or Olympic boxing, amateur boxing, even the World Series of boxing, all right, knows what similarity that all three of those guys share. And the similarity is that they were all on the same Olympic team for Ukraine in 2012, and it was probably one of the better Olympic teams assembled, for boxing. We had Vasyl Lomachenko, obviously, who's probably the most well-known of the bunch. Then we have Alexander Usyk, who just made his HBO debut not too long ago. And then we have Alexander Gvozdyk, who shares the same promoter as Vasyl Lomachenko. Had a nice victory over Isaac Chilemba on the Kovalev Ward undercard. All right, aside from them three, who are obviously the more popular ones, we have Taras Shalestiuk, who's a welterweight from the Ukraine, was a bronze medal winner in the Olympics. We have Ievgen Khytrov, who is a middleweight. I'm not sure if he medaled in the Olympics or not. I'd have to check that. I didn't really pay too much attention to him in particular in the Olympics. I just know Ukraine had a serious team in that year. All right, so he was on the same Olympic team as, the other guys that I've mentioned, and there's another guy named Baranchek. So and they are all professional now. A majority of them, I think Lomachenko might, out of those 6, might be the only one who has a loss in the professionals. Not to say that he's no better than anybody else. Obviously, he is, the best fighter possibly in boxing right now. But closely following are his fellow countrymen, and that's just my opinion, guys. Obviously, if you deserve, if you have a different opinion, I totally understand. But this is just from what I'm seeing. I really like the style that these guys fight in. But enough about that. Khytrov, now about him, okay, I said he is an infighter, but he is not limited to infighting. This man has some tools, some serious tools. All right, first of all, his punch selection. All right, this man remains completely balanced while throwing combination punches, and it's not just, he's not a headhunter. He throws those combinations to the body, to the head, anywhere he can hit you, he throws those punches, and he remains completely balanced and defensively responsible the entire time. All right, he has been hit. Obviously, if you're an infighter, you are expected to take, some good shots here and there. But for being an infighter, he is a very good defensive fighter. When you want to compare it to his infighting ability or the fact that he is an inside fighter, for being an inside fighter, he has very good defense, very good head movement. That's one thing that I do like about Khytrov. And even when he's at a bit of a distance, he shows those Ukrainian boxing school qualities, and mind you guys, it's not so much of where you're from that makes you the type of fighter. Obviously, the type of fighter that you are, the style of fighting that you are, that you choose to use. But these guys were all trained by one trainer during the Olympics, so they do a lot of things very similar, okay? Just to kind of clear the air on that one, I'm not saying that where you're from dictates how you fight. Sometimes it does, but it's usually the training that you had. Usually, it has a lot of influence on the way you decide to fight. Obviously, the other Ukrainian professional boxers today aren't really inside fighters. They do inside fight very well, but they more so like to use their feet a lot more and, kind of fight at their distance. They'll close the distance if they have to. It's a situational thing, depending on the situation, depends on how they're going to fight or dictates how they will approach fighting. Well, Khytrov is no exception to that. He uses his feet when he wants to, and he can. Believe me, he can. Even on the inside, he still uses his feet. A good inside fighter doesn't usually just stand stationary. They'll keep a close distance, but they'll usually move laterally to try to get an angle on you. They'll throw the combination punches and then slightly move out to the outside of either direction of you. If they can get you squared up, that's just an additional bonus. But if you're squared up and they can get onto either side of you or on the outside of either, foot, more likely they're going to, if they can square you up, they're going to look for an angle to hit you even more. They're going to put you in straight trajectories for like hooks and uppercuts, even straights to the temple, towards the side of your head to get a good, clean, effective punch either on your chin or to the midsection somewhere. Whether it's to the liver if they get out to your right side, or it's to the solar plexus if they get out to either side and shoot hooks down a straight line into your solar plexus. We see this with the Ukrainian boxers, particularly those Ukrainians who came from that Olympic team. They fight very similar. Obviously, they do some things different, and some possess different tools than the other. But generalizing here, it's pretty similar in the way that they fight. Now, another thing that Khytrov does very well that I like is, like I was talking about, he doesn't just stand there and throw punches. He's gonna look to get on an angle on you either way, in any way that he can get it, and then he's gonna let those punches fly, and you're gonna have a hard time defending it. Now, another thing that I do like about Khytrov is that he's actually a very exceptional counterpuncher. When he is at a bit of a range, or he needs to be able to get you distracted long enough to close the distance on you, the man moves his head very well. All right, he moves his feet very well too when he chooses to, but He moves his head very well. He kind of reminds me of Gennady Golovkin. Very subtle, slip, kind of fades, very subtle slipping shots and throwing, straight counters or countering over or underneath the jab to look to get at a closer range and start going to work on. He's a break you down, beat you up type of fighter. And unless you can escape that, then playing his game is a very dangerous situation for you, in terms of you winning or losing the fight. Now, Immanuwel Aleem, I want to see, like I said, I probably am butchering these dudes' names, but I'm going to just call him Emmanuel. Now, Emmanuel is a very good inside fighter as well. He has very quick, sharp, thudding punches. Not to suggest that he's a very hard puncher, but he does throw them shots with force, and if one lands clean, it could hurt you. Alright, and I like him because he doesn't just, his punch selection is awesome too, because he doesn't just work at the head. He works to the body, to the head, a combination of both. During his combinations, he's a very good combination puncher. That's what I like about him the most. And his defense is pretty on par. As you can see from the picture, he's a pretty stocky dude, he's pretty big framed for a middleweight. He's got very big shoulders, as you can see. He likes to kind of roll those punches off of his shoulders, use his hands to guard. He is susceptible to being hit, obviously, but like I said, when you're an infighter, you're gonna take some shots. But it's your duty as you fight on the inside to prevent the other fighter from landing clean, effective punches. You know what I'm saying? Or even get full extension of their power on you. So you might take some punches on the inside, but it is your job to make sure that those punches have the least amount of effect on you as possible. Whether you're blocking it slightly with your arms, rolling the punches, slightly fading away from the punches, ducking underneath, anything you can possibly do to get away from a very clean, effective punch. And both of these guys are very well at doing that, or very good at doing it. So Emmanuel, I will expect him to be trying to throw counter punches. I'm expecting a lot of punches to fly, honestly, but you never really know someone's game plan. You know what I'm saying? Emmanuel probably recognizes that Khytrov is probably the better inside fighter. Maybe he is going to try to fight on the inside and keep his distance. When he does get on the inside, he's probably going to try to make the most of it, and then probably try to get back out. But like I said, Khytrov has good footwork. He comes from a team of boxers who are trained by a coach who focuses a lot on training you, on training your feet, using your feet to set up your offense and to defend yourself. So if he tries to take it and make it more of an outside fight, I expect Khytrov to kind of take advantage of that, and he's going to be pressing the action and be the aggressor, and he's going to use his feet that I know he can use to end up getting Emmanuel on the inside anyway. So I don't see this fight venturing off from an in-fight too much. I think either guy will probably try to make some attempts, or if they have to readjust themselves or something, you might see some outside fighting going on. But chances are it's gonna be a phone booth fight in a way, But it's gonna be a very technical phone booth fight, and I like that. I do like that. I enjoy those type of fights very much. So who am I picking to win? I'm gonna have to go with Khytrov, who's probably the favorite of this fight, but that's not why I'm picking him. Just because of, things that I've seen him do in the ring, other than that, whether it's him infighting or what he can do on the outside to get on the inside, I think he may have the superior boxing skill. But I'm not counting out Emmanuel too much. I think this is a very close fight, in all honesty. And just to kind of throw this in there to make you a little bit more excited about the fight, they are both undefeated. All right. Obviously, they're kind of early in their careers, so it's not really, you can't really talk too much about their resumes. They both got some pretty decent wins on their resumes. The only blemish on either guy's resume is Immanuwel Aleem has a draw, but I seen the fight. It was really controversial. Even the commentators didn't agree with the scorecards, so it's whatever. But nevertheless, he is undefeated. So I think this is a very good step-up match for both guys, really. And both guys are very talented fighters. And we're going to see. I mean, to me, this is a battle of grit, you know what I mean? Who is the tougher guy? And who's able to, defend against who's able to defend better against the variety of punches, and who's able to effectively land the variety of punches. So it's a good skills matchup. I'm excited to see this fight go down. This is probably the fight I would say most excited to watch, not so much as it being a very significant fight in boxing as a whole, but I am probably the most excited to actually see this fight. But like I said, I am going to be going with Khytrov. I don't expect him to knock out Immanuwel Aleem early on, and I'm not really leaning towards a knockout. It's really hard to see a knockout happen, but this is a good fight for it. This is a good fight where a knockout may very well happen by either guy. It just depends who gets that really good shot off first. Khytrov is the harder puncher between the two, I believe. So if Emmanuel has a good chin, hopefully that keeps him in the fight if he is taking punishment. Khytrov, he has been hit. He seems like he has a very good chin as well. Immanuwel Aleem doesn't seem to be the hardest puncher out there. So, we got the makings of a pretty good fight here. So, but like I said, I am picking Khytrov to win. It's probably going to go the distance, but who knows? Like I said, a fight like this could, has a very, very good chance of ending in a knockout, which would be very exciting. But let me know what you guys think, man. I mean, if you guys don't really know who these guys are or how they fight, just go on YouTube and do some searches, watch some highlights, watch some of their full fights, to get the entire picture, get a very good picture, well enough to where you can compare the two and see who might win, and then just let me know who you think is going to win, and we could talk about it then. Also, subscribe to the channel, guys. Share the video with your boxing homie. Introduce somebody to boxing. I will talk to you guys on the next one. That's all I got for now. Peace.